Very beautiful playing and very, very talented. Uh, so I was a little surprised by the change of repertoire, but that's fine. I love all the Chopin nocturnes. I have a special affinity for Chopin, I think. My very last concert was all Chopin. And some years ago, I played a concert in Mallorca, Spain, which is the largest of the Balearic Islands. And Chopin went there in the 1830s with Georges Sand. Do you know who that was? Georges Sand was the pen name for his female friend, and they traveled together. She was a great writer, but she had to write under a man's name back in those times in order to get published. But anyway, they traveled to Mallorca, and he played concerts there, and they lived in this huge monastery, a Carthusian monastery, that had thick concrete walls about like this. And it was cold on top of the mountain and overlooking the sea there. Chopin got very ill there, and they had to leave after 3 months, went back to Paris, and it was not long after that that Chopin died. Such a tragic story, yeah. One of the most important things about his music is its expressive quality. What do you like about this piece?
I think it's very, touching.
Uh-huh.
Like the feeling of the emotion of this music is very beautiful. So,
And you play it beautifully, yeah. I just have a few suggestions, but one thing that would help everybody is something I think to bear in mind is know your instrument. What do I mean by that? If you know your instrument. Have you ever looked inside the piano? You have the very long strings at the back here, which creates, and the overlapping of the strings, which creates this huge sound on the bass. As you get up to the treble, the strings are shorter. So that affects how you approach certain pieces of music also. And also how the music is written in the score. For example, just play the opening for me, huh? Okay, stop just a minute. So here we have the ratio between the number of notes in the left hand and the number of notes in the right hand. Your very first note in the right hand, can you play your very first note? It's an F, and it's written as a dotted quarter note. It could very well be a dotted half a note or something. It's a long note. So what happens to that note when you play it?
I guess it rings out. It rings out and just surpasses the left hand.
It runs out, she said. What she means is it dies. You know, play it again, just the first note. And it immediately dies. And that's knowing your instrument and how to change the landscape here. Because what happens in the left hand? Play the left hand again.
Just the left hand?
Just the left hand. Okay, stop. Now that's a lot of notes in the left hand. And what happens to those notes?
They just keep going.
They keep going, and they keep growing and going and growing. And at the same time they're growing, this one's dying. So what does that tell us about our instrument? So the piano, we have to know it. It's not like a singer. You can play, I can sing a note. Please don't ask me to do it. I've almost lost my voice. We just had our festival for 8 days, and we had a lot of great music and not very much sleep. But so I won't attempt to sing that note for you. But if I were a singer, I could sing that note, and I could crescendo on it, and I could make it go on for a long time. If I were a violinist, I could do the same thing. And the piano, play it one more time, that one. Just the top note. And it immediately starts dying. Okay, and the left hand is growing. And so what does that mean? What does that tell us to do?
I think it tells us to bring out the melody more.
Yes, exactly. Bring out that right hand melody more. Even if it says piano. Piano is very relative. It's relative to the hall you're in. It's relative to the instrument you're playing on. It's relative to many things. But it could be a piano and a French horn, or a piano and a flute. So you need to emphasize that note more, because the left hand is building up. We have, can put it here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 notes. And then when this one comes in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have at least 6 notes there. So it's like 1 to 6 if you're looking at ratios, okay? So think stronger in the right hand and play softer in the left hand. And to play that stronger is to use your full arm from the shoulder, and let the weight of your full arm drop into the key. You can just do that with the F. Just pull it here. Better. Let's do it stronger, huh? Maybe a little less. Okay. And let's do the left hand. Sometimes I like to say, let's ghost it. Do you know what ghosting?
Yeah, like
Ghost? Yeah, just play like a ghost, like no sound at all, just to get the sound and the balance correctly. Let's do the left hand and ghost it with no sound at all. Okay, now let's add it with that full right hand singer there. Ghost it.
I'll go for it still.
And there you have another long note that's dying. And here's a big one. And another one. And what's that note? A natural? What's your note in the left hand? And it's tied also. So it's even longer, right? And there's your long note. That phrase goes to the F. So in and a big one here. Okay, beautiful. Now let's do it from the beginning with the left hand. And remember that right hand is your singer. I like to say your fifth finger is your singer, which it very often is. It has to be very strong, and it's the weakest finger in our hand. Look at that. So it's your singer. In the left hand, I think the singer is your thumb. That's your tenor voice. Huh? You have to very often voice to the tenor. Yeah? Here we go. Singer. Try to do that. Excellent. Change your pedal. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And I think it's better now because you can really hear the singer. It's like a singer and accompaniment, right? It's not like equal parts here. Sometimes we have equal parts, and we're playing counterpoint, something like that. They're equal, so we have to balance that. Here, it's different. Let's go on a little bit further. This is also chromatic harmony. So I'll just say a few more words as we go. 19th century music, especially the music of Chopin and Liszt, is chromatic harmony. Different than during the time of Mozart and Beethoven and Haydn, which was basic classical harmony with very few chromatic notes outside of 1, 4, 5. You know, basically it's classical harmony. When we get to the 19th century, chromaticism takes over, and there's so many notes that are being played outside of the key. What does that bring to the music?
Can you say that one more time?
What does those chromatic tones bring to the music? If I'm playing, let's see, if I'm playing in D flat, let's see, I'm playing D flat. So we have, well, actually, just play the D flat scale, would you? Play the D flat major scale. Okay, it's good, yeah. So you have all those notes in the D flat major scale. And if you do, let's say, any other note, or if you do, everything that's outside of that key brings us expression and pain and pain. It's like someone steps on your big toe. It's going to hurt. and that's kind of what dissonance does. And then you feel that relief when you come off of it. So it's good to find the dissonance in your music. Sometimes it occurs on a main beat. Sometimes it occurs on a not important beat. Sometimes it occurs inside a chord or between the hands. So it's important to look for those as well. That's chromaticism of the 19th century. Okay, so look for your dissonance. That's where very often your color and the expression in the music will go to. Okay, so let's go from, where were we here? Yeah, how about that? Now we're in thirds. Okay, so this is more difficult now because we're getting into voicing, and because it's not just a single note anymore, it's a third, and those are hard to voice because they're close together. But now, which fingering are you using on those? So you're doing 3/5. So can you play that? It's 3/5 is difficult, but play your fifth finger with more weight from your shoulder. Yeah. So sometimes when I'm trying to voice something, for example, like that, you can practice it. Practice techniques are important to how to do that. You can practice it with the bottom note staccato. So it's kind of like you don't put a lot of weight on it, and then you play it a little bit with a little weight, but not staccato. You don't want to do that, right?
Is there any other finger that you suggest besides 3/5?
You could do other fingers. It's okay though. Same thing here. Now you have a 6. 6 is a little easier to voice because they're further apart. But you don't want. But you want. It's really important for a pianist to be able to voice any note in any chord. Yeah. All right, try that. Yeah, and that's a good little line. That's a beautiful little, that's like a second soprano coming in there, and she wants to be heard. So I would bring that one out a little bit more, yeah. Yeah, so that's good. Did you find any dissonances in that phrase? Can you find a dissonance? Let's go back here. Okay, now stop when you find a dissonance. Is it? Or do you have a C?
No.
And you have a, well, let's see. How about that G flat? Is that dissonance or are you in B? Okay, that's a dissonance, right? So you have to know the chords underneath, and then you've got, but this G flat is dissonance, so what does that mean? Press it a little bit more and make it special because it hurts that one. You don't want me to step on your big toe, I'm sure. But think of it that way. It helps you to understand that there's a lot of expression in that note. Huh? Because after it resolves, it feels good. Mm-hmm. That one is strong. It's a little bit more assistant. This is very nice and beautiful. You don't this one is, it's a little bit more insistent. He puts a little crescendo thing. Good. There it is again. There. This time it's more important. Huh? Can you make the G flat a little stronger? And wait on it a little bit. Where is it? Is there a dissonance here? You found it! Yeah, let's do something special with it. It's special. You have to acknowledge it. It doesn't belong there. It's outside of a key, so to speak. Yeah, try it. Let's make this a little afterthought. And then come back in with this. Make this an afterthought. Let's do it one more here. Huh? Beautiful. Okay, and this note's really important. Why is that note important? I sense it's important. Did you sense that note was important in the bass? Do we ever have that note?
No.
It's the first time we have that note. B double flat. Ugh. Wow, what is that? Play here, and let's see what. Just the left hand. What chord is that?
What that chord?
It's the E flat minor. E flat. You're not bad at chords. You're good at chords, and you will be. Okay, and this one is what? What? Play
can I
that.
play it?
But yeah, play it.
I'll play
E flat minor. That's a B flat 7 chord, which could lead to E flat minor. And then what is this chord? What is it? E flat minor again. What the heck is this? And then it goes to. So it's leading by half step, which is also chromatic, in the left hand. And that goes to that double. We're in E flat minor. And then all of a sudden we're going. That's really important. The half steps in Chopin are particularly important because they lead us into a different chord, a different key sometimes, and definitely a different color. Okay, so you want to emphasize a little bit more. Can we go back to the, yeah, right there. Okay, so it also has when you go to the B double flat, forte, and then you're playing octaves instead of thirds and sixths, which is stronger. Con forza. What does that mean?
force.
Con forza. May the force be with you. Kind of. And then all of a sudden, piano. It's really important. It should give you chills when you get to that part, but you have to really play that there piano. Let's do it one more time.
On the same spot.
Yeah, same spot. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to hear in that alto voice, second sprinter voice. Far side. Okay, that's a long note. Long notes, you need to really go to them, go to your long notes. It could even be a dissonance. I'm not sure. Is it? Maybe not. Gee, but let's go to it and play it a little stronger. Changing colors. It's like watching a kaleidoscope. Do you ever watch a kaleidoscope? And you turn it and you see blues and greens, and then you turn it and you see yellows and oranges, and that's what the harmonic color will do for you. But you have to see it. You have to find it. You have to find it in your music. Yeah. So and there it is, right there in your left hand. And above it, you've got that long note, so you need to make sure that you get enough strength in it that you hear it. Can we start right here? Yeah, sure. Go. You want to play. You want it to be stronger. If not longer, you want it to be stronger because that's where it's going to. Listen to those changes. Now just be very still. And just listen to it. Don't move a muscle. Just play that one. Stronger. Yeah. And this one. You hear that dissonance? And it resolves. Chopin does that a lot. You can do a little wrist action. And you can do that, a little wrist action. And then it's kind of a little playful thing. Yeah? Now make the rest. You have to make the, what kind of rest is that?
I just like lost in my spot.
Is there a little rest? You have those little rests in Chopin very often. Well, two is 16, so 3 would be, right, 30 seconds. It's very short, but it's a rest, and I think you want to make it, because otherwise it's just a regular triplet. Dum da dum da da dum. Better. Okay, but this one's got to be a little stronger, because. Oh, did you hear that change?
Yeah.
But now, what is that change? It's really important for you really to study a little harmony, because you want to know what that change is. You maybe hear it, but it's like, what is that? It's something. I don't know exactly what it is. What is it? Where is it? Oh, it's here, right?
Yeah.
So you have, and you have this in the left hand, D flat major, and then, oh, this is beautiful. And then that D flat changes to C sharp, and that F changes to E. So it's, and that is called inharmonic. Do you understand that D flat's the same as the C sharp? But when you change the notes like that, so it goes, that's what happens. And the F goes to, okay, so you have to acknowledge that. Like, hello, I know you're an inharmonic there. So let's write it in.
May I ask a quick question?
Yeah, yeah.
When you're learning,
Sorry, I get going and it's hard to stop.
no, I love it. I'd rather not, but I just because
Yeah.
you just wrote something down, I'm curious. Like,
I
how
just
often,
did a check mark. So
but
she
how
wrote,
often do you like write at mark like make notes in your music when you're
you
trying to
should
like
see my music. Oh my
show me
gosh.
sometime?
You have to come to Colorado.
It's not far.
Yeah, I write all over it, which is probably not good, honestly, because you write so much and then you can't see anything.
I'm just curious.
So
how
it's
you-
always good to get a clean score, yeah,
Mhm.
and a clean listening too, also for it. But yeah, I do because just visually it's important, orally it's important, tactically it's important, and all those tactically is how it feels, how you hear it, how you see it, and I think how you actually have the knowledge of it. So learning exactly kind of what it is, because then you recognize it. It's important. Sometimes I write it in. Yeah, I'm not sure it's a good idea, but I just did a little check mark on her. It's her music, yeah.
Anything goes, I guess. when you
Some
take
people
that.
write colors in their music. We had one
Yeah.
of our guest artists at the International Keyboard Edition that we just finished, and he's fabulous. And he just writes colors in his music, and he's very colorful personality. And he writes, there's pink and green and blue, and everybody has their system. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
I might do it one day one way and the next, a different way. But I think for her it's important to kind of get to know what it is. But so here, you know what I mean by inharmonic, right? C sharp, same as, well, in this day and age, it's the same as D flat, but there it really is different and then you go to C sharp. We have the type of tuning now that they're the same. Back in the old days, they were a little bit different. All right, but let's go. That's important to recognize it and acknowledge it. For me, it's important. Good. Oh, there's a little rest there too. What kind of rest is that?
Same thing as
It's that same one. It's that 30-second rest. And you can just kind of flip your wrist a little bit and then come back with a 30-second. Good. Okay. All this is under a crescendo, so this means it's more dramatic, huh? Probably if you analyze the left hand, you're going to find some interesting things there. Let's go here. Is someone keeping the time? Because I'm not.
37.
I've been 37?
37. Yeah, 37 after 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to make one comment now because I said before keep the left hand softer, but now I think you need to make it stronger because it's more dramatic now. and the right hand needs more support. And it's not a long note. There are many notes here, and it needs the support of the left hand so you can bring it out more. Huh? Oh, I think I heard a dissonance. I think I heard a dissonance. Is that one? You know what that is? What is that dissonance, guys? Are you listening? What is that dissonance? It's an augmented fourth, or you could call it a diminished fifth. It's called the devil's interval. It's one of the strongest dissonances, and it's right there in Chopin. He just brought it in. So I think, and he also gives you a little hairpin emphasis there. So maybe just start right here on that, maybe here. Left hand. More. Keep going. Oh my gosh. Makes me want to cry. Oh, that one needs to be a little more. Oh, nice. Yeah, you got watch those little rests. So they're kind of hidden, but there's one too. I think you acknowledge that one, but maybe not that one. Yeah. Yeah, that's important. It's more insistent. Yeah. No matter how loud it gets, I want to hear the melody. Melody, melody, melody. And no matter how dissonant the music gets, even 20th century, I want to hear the melody, melody, melody. And you've got to voice it because you're playing great right here. But then when you get here, you've got to play, you've got to voice it. Not this. Because you've played so beautifully, but now you've come to the melody. You've got to really voice. It's hard to do. Oh, it sounds like my voice. F now. You gotta voice it. That's hard. It's right in the middle of that octave. Is it third finger you're using? Yeah, you gotta play a T. It's hard because you got 5 in one and 3 in the middle, but that's the important one, huh? You have to voice. Making 4 or 3. Or 4. 3 is on here. E flat. Yes. E. Good. Okay, let's wait on the F just a little bit. It's so beautiful. Let's do the E flat again. T here. T. Now strong.
Can I start from here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Good. Good. Now go. And make the second F even important. Ti-dum, ti-dum, da-dum. Ah, takes my breath. Now very quiet. Dolcissimo. Dolcissimo. What does that mean? Dolcissimo.
Very sweet.
Very, very quiet and very sweet. Very sweet. Very gentle. It's probably a better word. Fleeting tear. Don't move. Calando. What does calando mean? That's a word I could never quite remember what that meant. Does anybody know what that means? Calando?
It's like a minuto.
Yeah.
Take your foot out of the tail slowly.
Take it.
The car, right?
Take the time. Take your time, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, no, not the tail.
Yeah. Some of these words we don't see very often, so we forget to look them up. Yeah, exactly what that means. That A is important. Is it dissonance? Is it a dissonance? It is, I think, here. And wait right here until it dies. Do you fall asleep? Beautiful. Wow. Great. So yeah, Chopin is one of my favorites. Beautiful playing talented. Chopin is one of my favorite composers, and I've also been to Père Lachaise Cemetery. Do you know what that is outside of Paris? That's where he's buried. Oh my gosh, what an experience that was. Has anybody been to the Père Lachaise Cemetery? Where Chopin, you've got to go to Paris and go to the Père Lachaise Cemetery. It's full of very famous people and their graves, and they have little houses. I think they, do you know what they call those little houses, you know, with their cartouches or something? But they're like little houses sitting on top of the graves. And the day that we went there, it was raining, kind of like it is today outside, and people didn't bring their umbrellas, so they're standing inside these little houses. It was very peculiar. And finally we found Chopin's grave, and on it is a beautiful white marble statue of an angel with her hair flowing down like this. And always there are fresh flowers on Chopin's grave. There's a vase on the angel. There are always fresh flowers there. We brought some. And I also took a little stone off his grave and carried it with me for many, 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 many years. Anyway, you should go and visit, and go to Mallorca and see that wonderful old Carthusian monastery where he stayed with George Sand, where he got very deathly sick, and then had to come home and suffered a lot. Oh, I'm about to disengage this or something. Oh, I can't move. Okay. Anyway, and so travels are important, and knowing your composer, it's important to have a feel for them. You know, to have that sense that they're really living people. They weren't just somebody in the history book. Not someone in a history book. They were really living people with lives and illnesses and tragedies, and it's important to feel that when you're studying their music.
We have one more.
Ah.
Beethoven Appassionata.
Uh-huh.
It's the first movement, right? Okay, we'll a song.
Am I running over?
No, we can stay. Yeah, we have 25 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
If it's
Is there no
not enough
conflict?
time.
You just have to stop me once I get it
Okay.
going.
Okay.
Okay, what's your name? And you're how old?
15 years.
15. Great. Where are you
What's
from?
up, everyone?
Where are you from?
Beethoven Appassionata.
I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Am I gonna tangle up here?
Wanna change this way?
Let me figure out this.
Should I sit back?
Do you want to see? There we go. You good?
That she gets lower and lower.
Wait, am I going the right way?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to go
It's
lower.
too many cables, my dear. That's a problem.
There
You're
we
doing
go.
great.
Okay. Let's hear it. how much time do we have? Anybody watching?
I guess technically like 15.
15, okay. Good. So, beautiful playing and very talented, and you have really a great approach to the keyboard. Just a little bit about this sonata and about Beethoven, because it informs our performance. And then we'll get to some technical things, okay? So this is have you studied his music, Beethoven's music? So you know there are 3 periods, right? And this is the middle period, sonata. The early period sonatas were more like Mozart and Haydn and classical, with some pushing out into the 19th century. But now we are in a different category of depth and profundity in his music in the middle period. Some of his greatest sonatas were in this middle period. What was happening in his life?
Well, I think he started going
He was losing his hearing, which is the greatest tragedy for a composer who has his whole life in front of him. He started losing his hearing when he was like 28 years old. And for him, it was such a tragedy and so hard to accept, and it really affected his personality. So when you think of the word appassionato, which is the nickname of your sonata, how do you define that, appassionato? What does that mean?
Like passion and sometimes like the darker side of passion towards maybe his loss of hearing and towards music in general.
Yeah, and passion can be more than that. Passion can be strong feelings. Doesn't necessarily have to do with love or that kind of passion. It can be a strong feeling. It can be anger, which you hear in this sonata. It can be determination. It can be aggravation. It can be a lot of things. Have you ever been really angry? What makes you angry?
Not a lot of things, I can't really remember.
Not a lot of things. Yeah. So I'm generally not very angry, but I get angry when things are not fair for people or something like that, and, have my little moments. But Beethoven had his big moments because he was suffering. He was suffering from this loss of hearing because he had his greatest work ahead of him. 28 years old. And I think this sonata, do you know when it was written? It was, I think, in around 1804, 5, 6. And he started losing his hearing in the late 1700s, I think. So by this time, he was already experiencing, and this anger is boiling up. You can hear it in this sonata for sure. So the appassionata has to do with strong feelings and strong emotions, I think, particularly in a different kind of way. And you hear a very strong thing in this sonata also is what we call the fate motive. Have you heard of that? The fate motive is that motive, 3 shorts and a long. Da-da-da-dum. And we have it the strongest, perhaps, in his 5th symphony. We call it the fate motive because he was struggling against this, and he was determined to not let it destroy his life because he went through depression and all of that as well, thought about committing suicide at some point, and wrote to his brother about that. And then he just took charge and made his life victorious over this. So you hear that in the fate motive, da-da-da-dum, 5th Symphony. You hear that motive in everything that Beethoven wrote, and particularly in the sonata, you hear it almost continuously. So it might help you to put words to that. Could you put words to that? In terms of what we're talking about? Everybody think about it. What would you say? Matthew, can you think of some words? Da-da-da-dum. I don't like blank. Can you think of something? Dealing with his tragedy that he's facing.
I cannot hear.
I cannot hear. That's the best one probably. I cannot hear. I will not accept, but that's too many syllables. uh, I do not hear. I do not hear. I cannot hear. I cannot hear. Okay, let's think of it. That will help you, I think. I hope I don't choke myself on this microphone. Uh, I think that will help you to understand and to get a feeling for that. So that's it. That's an important thing in terms of the character of this piece, because it's Opus 57, right? Mm-hmm. Right in the middle of this period where he's having his greatest angst, and he's fighting it. He's fighting it. And it's important. You hear that. You hear that in the music. So, and technically, okay, just a couple of technical things. I want to hear more melody, melody, melody. Okay, I remember I said that before, no matter how dissonant it is, no matter, even if it's 20th, 21st century music written in the 12-tone style, I want to hear some melody. And here, I think you need to work more on the voicing. It's not coming through as strongly as I would like to hear it anyway. And a couple of other things. Let's start right from the beginning, and then I'll stop you on a couple of sections. Yeah, even here, we've got octaves, but they're not in one hand, they're in two hands. But I think the most important is the right hand. So maybe you could balance a little bit more to the right hand instead of, because yours are sounding the same. Maybe you could go.
Yeah, I've actually been trying to voice towards the left hand more.
I would voice more to the right hand, yeah. And because it's the melodic aspect of it. Oops, getting out of tune. It's getting out of tune. Okay, let's go on. And now we're in a different key. And let's emphasize it. So that first note, T, T, T. More right hand now. Make sure you end it. Yeah. You want to hear that. No, don't do it. You want to make sure you end the phrase. You want to begin the phrase and end the phrase. I don't hear the D flat quite enough. Good, better. Ooh! I want to hear that C a little bit more. Okay, what was that you were going to call it? I cannot hear. There it is. Okay, when you get to it, say, I cannot. Okay, go on. Good. Retired. Now he's angry. Okay, here. Very good. So I think on this, it's a really hard passage. I like to call that like a seesaw for midgets. You know what a seesaw is? So for little midgets. So right hand, left, and so shake it. Yeah, shake it. It's like the giggle in your arm or something. Can you do it backwards?
Probably not.
You could try. Sometimes if you have a really difficult passage and you can play it backwards, then it makes the other one seem so much easier. Try it. Really forte. Slowly, very slowly. Again, a little faster. Now, the way it's written, it's already better. Oh my gosh, it worked. They don't always work. They don't always work, but that's good. And then at the end of that, I wanted to say something. So, can you take it? from here. Okay, so that's important because you have a forte, you have forte, what do you have? And I want to hear T. So lift out, don't come straight down on it because you get a brash sound, crashy sound. But you want still melodic on the key and lift it out. And then on this one, because you go from forte to piano, you have to really voice your pinky on that C, because otherwise you won't hear it. It'll be fuzzy. Instead of, but it's, and even wait a little bit if you need to. I'm not sitting in I'm not in good position. I try just those last two chords. Can you lift it out? And a little bit more D flat. And a little bit more on the C. Oh, do you hear the difference? How could that be so exciting to me? I don't know why it is. It's immediately better, okay? And every time you have that forte chord, pause just a bit, make sure you hear the silence, and then voice that pinky. Because otherwise it sounds real fuzzy and it doesn't really resolve. All right, so then we're going to go here again. It's coming up again soon. Okay, on these, it kind of lift with a full arm, but you can do it without crashing right down on them. It's a different kind of anger. It's a... Yeah. More right hand, more melodic. Keep going. I don't hear the C. I heard this. I want to hear it. Because that's your melody. Hmm? Whew. Can you wait just a tad before you play it? Good. I cannot hear. You get D, da, D, more E. And this one is SFP. That's suddenly forte, and then after the piano. But you've got to really voice to that fifth finger. Otherwise, they all sound the same. Give it a singing tone. More. Less on these. Maybe make those staccato for now. Look, feel that. I feel the weight. Let me feel that in your hand. Just on that one finger. And the other fingers are soft to play. Now try it on the keyboard. Oh, nice. Let's go on. Voice the octave. Okay, here's a good thing. I try to bring out some principles that apply everywhere, okay? So here's one that helps me. If you have a pattern that is the same, you want to, most often, I should always say, de-emphasize it. If you have a pattern that's different or changing, that's the one you want to emphasize. And here you have, and then it changes a little bit, and so that's the same, and it changes, to this. but it's basically the same rhythm over and over and over. But this is different. Okay, so that's what's important. So de-emphasize the left hand a little bit and make the right hand monologic. Good. Crescendo. Okay, and here's another place. So here, and then now it's crescendoing, so that's when you bring that stuff out, because that helps you to make your crescendo. So you can bring the left hand out more there. And again, we're going to forte to piano, and you can voice that pinky here. Let's start here. Bring the left hand out more here. Better. Not lots of. Always round the corner of your motives in the top. Dee-da-dee. Don't just let it be flat. Huh? That's it. Okay, here's some the same and some's different. Now tell me which the same. What's the same?
Left hand and
Play the left hand. Left hand the same? We want to hear that. We don't want to hear it all the time. It's like your mom telling you, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room. Just talking to you. And then what do we have in the right hand? What part of that is the same?
oh, the bottom voice.
Right. We don't want to hear that too much, okay? What we want to hear is what's important. Right? Not to say that we don't want to hear the other, but we want it to be a little bit de-emphasized, and we want to emphasize the melodic kernel that's there. Melody, melody, melody. That's what we want to. That's what we want to hear. Huh? So even though it's forte, you can make those inner parts a little bit softer and bring out the very top note. Huh?
We have time for one more thing?
Just can we just do
Absolutely, yes.
this one thing? Yeah. So let's see. Bring out both of those repeated notes, huh? Yeah, I think you weren't bringing out that second one, yeah. And then the others, and it comes out so much stronger. And then, yeah, we don't have a lot of time. When it changes keys, again, as I said to Sophia, acknowledge that change of key because it's a change of color. It's like changing from blue to red or yellow. And so it should feel differently and should be a little bit different in the fingers as well.
Just about that. So, for example, in the beginning, when you go to the, would you say it's more important to emphasize the first note or the tonic of the chord?
I would say at the beginning, just because that acknowledges the beginning of the change. I would.
And then, so for like another one like this, where the first note is the
Dee.
same, and then
Well, can we do it just one here? Just start here. Dee, da, da. So you have this, and then you have.
so for this one, you would go to the
Don't you have another one? There's another place where it changes, I think, even more. But yeah, but as long as you hear that, it's in that, was that G sharp minor? And then E major is like, you know, it could be the first note, it could be all of them, or it could just be a hesitation before you do it. You could be accomplished in a lot of different ways, yeah. I hate to stop, but you played very well. I put some, all these chords need to be voiced to the top. melody, the melody notes are most important in the chords, okay? And all of those, when I've circled them, bring out the top. Not, but that fifth finger is your singer, and you want to feel that weight, and on the others are light. You can feel that, right? You want to feel that weight. It's relaxed weight from the shoulder. Yes, and that A flat also. That's it. And da-da-da-dum, that fate motive. I mean, you can make it different as well. You can make it angry sometimes. Sometimes you can make it like, why? Why me? Can we make that a, why me? There's lots of different ways of thinking of that. But yeah, so great. It's nice to hear you play.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful job, Rubato. Thank you so much for the general Landreth, the rock star. We love you so much. It's such a pleasure having you with us.
Wow. Thrilled to hear these young talents. And
Yes.
thank you. Looking forward to more. Okay.
We good? We're gonna set up in 2 minutes for the next masterclass, and then we're gonna start with video interviews. Then we're gonna get just ready for the welcome reception.
Oh,